Water Sewer Task Force meeting, convening at 6:30 p.m. And we're going to take the agenda out of sequence and deal with budget first. And is part of that this handout on the water tower?
No, that's actually really a separate conversation.
Oh, okay. So budget.
Budget. We're all the way at the bottom. No. Do you want to start with sewer or water, or do you care?
Whichever
I guess
one.
sewers.
Whichever one's first.
Sewers first, but water's short.
So let me just say a general word about where we are. We are almost but not quite ready for prime time.
We'll be ready by 5.
By Friday we'll be ready. Tom and Carrie have to meet tomorrow morning because Carrie's got a bunch of questions about the configuration for staff and benefits and salaries and tax and social security and all that stuff. And so those numbers are not very confidence inspiring at the moment, but I can give you the big picture about what's going to happen conceptually with this budget that's different than what we've done in the past, which is that there are only 4 employees who are full-time in the water and sewer area. And Tom, am I correct that you're currently charging those 4 employees 80% of their time to sewer, 20% to water? Okay, so those salaries will end up fully in the water and sewer budget. Everybody else's salaries, which is basically Tom, some portion of Carrie, some portion of the city manager when we have one, some portion of the office downstairs.
Part-timers?
No, it doesn't really have anything to do with part-timers.
Well, only water sewer part-timers? There's only 4 full-time.
They're just 4 full-time employees and no part-time.
Oh,
Right?
So the 4 he's talking about is we got 4 employees at the wastewater plant that strictly do sewer 80%. So the wastewater plant and all the pump stations.
Okay.
And then the arsenic plant, the water tower, that's all they do is water and sewer.
But then there are 3 employees that Tom has, in addition to the folks who are support staff here in this building, who divide their time between all 3 funds, general, water, and sewer. And so their full salaries will be placed, like Tom's, in the general fund. And then we will figure out the appropriate percentage, our best guess as to the percentage of their time that go into the other areas, the other funds. And there will be an inter-fund bill from the general fund to water and to sewer. And that will be true for the variety of salaries here that touch in that world. Each one will have a percentage. And if it's an hourly wage person as opposed to a salary person, then it will be tested against what's on their time cards, right? Because they will note on their timesheets where they're spending their time. And they already pretty much do that. So we'll make our best guess and it will come out pretty close because we're basing it on Tom's experience of this in the past, right? For salaried people like Tom or Carrie, the likelihood is we're not going to try and mess with that. We're just going to say, what's a reasonable guess at how much time Carrie is going to put into helping to manage finances for water and sewer, and we'll put a portion of her salary there, and she can talk about that.
And keep in mind that the charter prohibits, and I didn't.
Yeah, we know.
With me, either water or, I think it's water is prohibited.
For
In
the
terms
clerk.
of charging back any of the city clerk and
Yeah.
treasurer.
Right.
But the other one, sewer, is not.
So
One's prohibited and one's
here's
not.
the assumption that we've started with. We're going to, at the moment, leave the 12.5% for the 3 salaries downstairs, and they're related.
25%.
Sorry, that's right. Unless Jim has a real problem with it, because we haven't talked with him about this yet, but in a conversation with Chip and Carrie and myself today, what we agreed is that at least half of the time downstairs is likely going into water and sewer and probably ought to be billed appropriately. So for now, our idea is we start with a budget that shows 25% in, which one are we allowed to do? Sewer, and nothing in water. But we know that if the new charter goes through in March, then it would immediately mean that we would do another 25% that would go into the water budget.
Where's the missing 25 going
in the general fund? So I'll stop there, Carrie, because I want to steal all your thunder. Do you have other things you want to add?
No, maybe just a warning that I don't think our salary numbers are right. in here. I don't think our totals are right, and I just need to talk to Tom more about the split between, like, you know, how within water, there's like two areas, and then there's the admin.
Mhm.
I don't know how that split is being calculated, but the admin, I moved one of your numbers out of admin. You had money in there. I moved it to the other one that was empty because Chip said that admin one, the purpose of that is to bill my time, senior time, etc. Make
Okay.
sense?
I'd have to
You'll
see
see
it.
it. You'll see
I'll
it.
have to see it.
And I put a note of what I moved and where I moved it from,
Okay,
so that
no, perfect.
you can
Yep.
follow. But yeah, just to
Yep.
warn you, I moved that. And I moved one other thing I'll talk about. So starting with revenue, I guess, because it's first. Anticipating, and Tom, feel free to disagree with this number, but 110,000 from Derby, which is just based on aligning it with the FY25 actual. I don't know if you have a sense of if that's gonna be higher or lower.
I don't think it's gonna fluctuate
Change,
much.
okay, that's what I thought. This I believe is like when Taplin gives you septic.
What's that
This
again?
discharge fee for sewer plant is like when you get septic tanks discharged it with you and like porta potties, and that's what I was told by
And
Stacey.
campers.
Yeah,
Yeah, it must be. That, you
No.
got taplins, you've got jetties.
yeah,
250,000?
yeah, and I think,
Seems awfully high.
well, you got 240,000 in FY25, and you're already at about 100, so
Because we know it's not landfill leachate disposal or anything.
No,
I think you'll hit it.
Yeah.
Which is, I just added 2% to this number because you seem, and I don't know, if maybe I shouldn't do that because maybe it's very seasonal.
they don't do it in the winter. Well, they, emergencies they will, but not much during the
They don't want to
year.
do it.
So you will see it, you'll see it drop off this one.
How far back in time do those go?
What do you mean?
You got 25, does it go back? in
Old
time?
numbers? Yeah, I do. I have 5 years.
The only problem with projecting more than what we bring in is that you ended up having to make that up somewhere.
So you want me to stick it at 240?
Yeah, you know.
It's only a $2,000. She put in a
Yeah, yeah,
2%
no,
increase.
What was it
I'm
the
just
year
saying, if we raise it too much.
No, that's
we don't-
right.
What is it, what has it been historically?
I mean, it seems that you,
Been steadily going up.
it seems that you did a
Well,
rate increase or like
We
something.
did.
Yeah. So I don't think it's really helpful to look beyond FY25, unfortunately.
Every 2 quarters is a rate increase.
That can't be, I mean, that could be what happened, but there was a massive jump between 24 and 25.
Well, anytime that we have a rate increase for everybody, they're having a rate increase.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, which is when we started tinkering finally with this, with the sewer rates.
So since you
It was in 24.
anticipating a rate increase already, I think it's safe to say you can anticipate a 3% increase,
In 27?
Yeah.
Okay.
at least. It's probably gonna be higher.
Mm.
This is another one where it's kind of been inconsistently done between water and sewer, but this interest income is actually late fees on water and sewer bills.
Mhm.
You'll probably get over $10,000, but I've left it at 7. You're already at $6,000 as of like October.
Why is it negative? Why
This
is
is,
that column negative?
this is what you've received. This is your revenue.
Oh, so
It's
it's
just-
negative, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of needed, but you've gotten that so far.
So the difference is between the two. That's
Yeah.
That's why.
So that reflects the balance.
You've gotten so far 6,130. I mean, and so far, this is like mid-October, was the last time I pulled these numbers, because that's when we've done it.
Some of that is probably reflective of the fact that a lot of the delinquencies have been paid down generally because of the letters that, Robin sent out to all the delinquent people.
Mhm.
Oh, so yeah.
The delinquent tax figures come down by a couple 100,000.
Yeah, it went from like 638 to 600 to 330 or something.
Yeah, water and
Big-
sewers.
a big jump.
638?
We, at our audited numbers showed $638,000 or something very close to that for in unpaid taxes.
Oh, tax.
At the end of last year.
Yeah, that's where you're-
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what Tom was referring to, is just, there was an attendant.
But
That was
people
water
have-
sewer delinquents.
but people have been paying into water and sewer too, when.
Yeah.
That's right.
it's brought to
Yeah.
their attention, same principle.
But it's running very high.
Yeah.
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 As a matter of fact, it's another thing that's increasing every year.
Well, they missed a year of tax sales, that's.
Yeah.
Part of the problem.
Sorry.
No, it's-
Oh, and I did remember, I did have a copy of the charter somewhere else, and it is water that's currently prohibited.
Mhm.
Treasurer is currently prohibited from billing back their costs.
And that's how I've done it in here, just. so you
Yeah.
know, so, this number is simply balancing your expenses. So this is your, I mean, it looks like a crazy formula, but it's really quite simple. This is your expense sum times negative to make it a positive number. And then I'm subtracting out your other sources of revenue. Makes sense? And that's
Right.
the whole
The
story.
assumption being that we're going to set the rate to match whatever the expense is.
That's the entire story for your income.
So in January, when we look at our official budget approval, we're also going to have to look at whether the current rate is sufficient to meet that budget.
That's right.
To zero.
Before you move on, in terms of income, we don't project any sort of like, fee for service, city work for private residents, because that ends up just being a net cost in theory, because we expend it and then they cover it. Not really income. We can't project it.
I don't go looking for private work.
That's what, yeah. And it's not something you keep track of. It's like, oh, we occasionally do up to 20,000.
Occasionally, you might, have one that I bill out, but not very often. I typically, especially if it's on the property or in the house, I suggest that they have a, plumber. We're not into a plumber.
So some of this is gonna be some of it's gonna be me, some of it's gonna be you with the expenses, but this is where I moved the amount out of the admin. So just so you know, this was 0.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't spend very much time on the salary portions because the numbers aren't going to make any sense yet. Unfortunately, we're going to have to look at those after Carrie and
Okay,
Tom have a
so
chance to
then
reconcile it.
I'm gonna let you, Tom, talk through anything that's on the screen now. Because none of this is any salary or benefit stuff. I don't know if there's anything you want to call out.
Yeah, this is just operating. Operating supplies, repair maintenance supplies.
So are we actually completing worksheets to get these numbers, or are we just throwing numbers in?
So it's not just throwing numbers in, but it's not worksheets yet.
Okay.
And so the difference between throwing numbers in is that in the past, we were working off a spreadsheet that was not tethered, particularly last year. It was kind of untethered from all reality because we had no 24 numbers to look at because the audit still hadn't been completed, nor did we have year-to-dates for last year. So this year, it's based on actuals. We have not yet hit the point where we're trying to get to the worksheets, Paul. Okay, so I think that's a major step that we're talking about having to try to figure out how to implement in the next, 6 months or so.
What do you envision as a worksheet? It's like a formulaic anticipation.
Well, yeah, I envision a council member saying, give me a breakdown of what's in materials. Okay. I plan on buying this many sticks of pipe. I plan on buying this many hydrants. I plan on buying not, oh, it's usually what we spend. Yeah. So.
For materials and supplies in particular, I mean, like when it comes to like fuel and electricity, you really can just go on what your annual
Right,
bills have been.
you get like fuel, we use this many gallons a year.
Yeah.
Price per gallon's going up this much, you can forecast.
So there will be quite a range in what a worksheet will contain.
Right, you can talk to the power company, we're gonna have a 3% increase.
Yeah, that's
So you can justify, we use this many kilowatts and we're, with 3% increase, it's gonna cost us this much. Yeah. But it's a start.
Water meters are not in there because we've already taken out money to pay for them.
Yeah, to be,
Well, that's.
I'll fill you in on that when we get
Similar
here.
anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So
But-
that's just a holdover.
But you'll see the same thing We've zeroed it out and I'll tell you why. Oh, you haven't zeroed it out yet?
I think it needs to be, but I don't think it has been.
Okay, and I haven't had a
I
chance to
didn't
talk to
zero it out.
Scott.
We just talked about it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah, I'll fill you all in on that in a minute.
Do you want me to scroll?
Those, yeah, none of those numbers look enormously large other than electricity, but you can't get away from that.
So the far left here, that's all the new
New code
numbers.
Yes.
When this gets semi-finalized, you can send us a,
Friday morning it'll be, or Friday afternoon, we'll make it public to everybody and we'll send a copy to you folks.
it'd be nice to really be able to see it.
Yeah, and we're not there yet. And the truth is, I mean, we all know that where the real questions are around how we allocate staffing costs.
Yeah.
Right. So we can talk about that a little bit in terms of percentages tonight. We can tell you what we're intending across the board. If that, and I think that'd probably be helpful to just double check with you all, but.
Yes.
This is maybe worth saying that this kind of the number I took from, so that 39,500 or whatever it was, I took out of here. This is now calculating my salary plus city manager salary times 12.5%. And then clerk plus treasurer salary times 25%.
You put it under sewer plant?
Sewer administration.
Which is going to get that line
It's
that
gonna
says
get-
salaries is going to get renamed.
So look for the heavy print.
It's
Yeah.
going to get, but that line is going to get renamed where it says salaries. It's going to be renamed sewer interfund transfer to general fund, or I don't know exactly.
End up getting part of your three guys, part of you. You know what I mean?
In the end.
It'll all be in that line.
Yeah.
Tom, your portion, the portion of your salary that goes in sewer and the portion for those other three guys.
And this is what's in there right now in words.
Plus what's currently in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, okay.
It's
You had me lost at first because I was looking at the top of the page.
No,
looking at
no, no,
sewer
sorry.
plant. I
This-
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to be clear,
starting at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
yeah, you gotta look at the chart from the bottom up, yeah.
so just to be clear, what we're proposing is that
That's great.
25% of the treasurer clerk office, including benefits, which is not the practice in recent years. So we're going to include the full cost of an employee. 25% of that cost will, for the office downstairs, will go into this fund. And then we're proposing that 12.5% of Carrie's salary and package and cost, and 25% of the new city manager would go into sewer. And Tom, you guys can decide, but I think you've been putting about 30% of yours in sewer. Is that right? It's been like 30, 30 and
Yeah,
40
I
with general
combined
fund.
3 ways.
Yeah.
What I-
And do you generally do like 30% in each of the two enterprise funds and then 40% in the general fund, or Or do you do it even? Okay.
3 ways.
so it'll be
It's the
33%?
same formula it's been for years.
Fair enough. So we'll put
Yeah.
33% of Tom's salary in there. And then we'll have whatever salary portion you want in sewer for those other three guys that you share from the general fund. Okay?
You know, like this year, you're gonna see a jump in just in the water because the guys have been doing meters and
Sure.
we spent quite a bit of time on Lakemont. We haven't finished there yet. So, you know,
Mhm.
different years, you're gonna have more in one than the other, so to speak.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, the sewer plant, utility, electrical use, the sewer collection, those are just like the force main pump stations. That electrical demand for sewer collection, those are pump stations.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, but
Or-
you're talking about utilities?
yeah,
You're talking like this one
Is it-
versus
versus.
Yeah.
this one, for sewer collection versus sewer plant.
See now, so here's, just so everybody's clear, even the guys at the wastewater plant have time that goes under sewer collection.
Mhm.
Because the pump stations, even though they work on them, are actually under sewer collection.
Sure.
So the utilities under the plant would be the plant itself, and then the utilities on the other one should be pump station.
Pump station.
And are you still in the new chart of accounts? Are you still distinguishing between those two things?
It is.
It is the new.
But do we
He
need,
didn't separate it out.
but do we need to have it separated out? Because that's making yours like kind of more complicated than maybe it needs to be, you know what I
It is,
mean?
but it's impossible to tease it out once you do away with it.
Right.
And then somebody starts asking me how much you're spending here over there.
Well, the answer to that
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
but the answer to that question isn't, this is what Chip's trying to train us out of. What Chip keeps saying is, do not try and use your budget to track your general ledger chart of accounts to track the detail of all of your spending. What you're using to do that is your payroll records, right? So for instance, if Tom has a job where he can bill a certain amount to a grant, it's not that we don't have a record of how much time one of his guys put into a particular thing. It's that the way where we get that record is from the payroll records, not from this.
That works for people.
That works for people, but
Right.
we're talking about utility
Right,
bills, like
just-
power bills and stuff
I mean,
like
you'd
that.
always be able to get it because they bill us like 60 pages every time they get a power bill, so you could always get it, right? Like,
You could,
Yeah.
and you'd be backstepping, go back to,
You would be, yeah.
somebody'd have to, myself, go back in the vault and
Yeah,
pull out all.
I
the-
understand what you're saying for staff, but I don't see how that would help with supplies, materials, utilities. I think you,
So here's the question, how often do we need to distinguish? I mean, is the upfront cost of the downstairs coding it to wherever, or Tom coding it to wherever, worth the separation to have it at some point, maybe down the road, if as a necessary?
So the way we did it at the water district was we had a budget series for every pump station we had. And we could go to every line item. Like the Williston pump station would have a line item for, so
Like
you
a
could
different line
see
item
how
for
much that pump
categories, yeah.
station was
cost
costing.
to run.
Well, and the good news, Jennifer, is that within the next 6 weeks, we will have solved the coding problem. Because the council made a decision to go with this new AP Essentials software system. And we're going to drag ourselves from 1950 into 2025 here in about a month, where everything's going to be online. And the whole program for coding, it will recognize it when it comes in and it will code it automatically. And then there's just a series of like 7 checks that the system does to say, oh, here's something that looks weird and out of order, double
Okay,
check
then
this.
then it's gonna save time, so either combining before or after, if you can split out every pump station
Doesn't
with a
hurt.
special code.
Okay, that's helpful. We can
You
take
know,
that
I
back to
mean,
Chip.
You
as
should be
feedback.
able to pull it, you know,
Check
through
the
all
base.
categories.
but what would be the value? Because couldn't you also just go to BEC and say, hey, I want to see all the bills for this pump station?
You probably could,
Yeah,
but that again is one item. What else happens in a pump
Right,
station?
I mean,
Yeah.
you've got.
You're gonna have some
your
lines in it.
PLCs, you've got.
We would track any major upgrades to it, but
Yeah.
under that utilities bill, it's covering all the pump stations anyways. It's not like they're individually broke out. I guess this way, under plant, you have utilities, and then you have, under sewer collection, you have utilities, which is pump stations. Other than that, no, it'd be a file if we were tracking, major repairs.
Right, and this is just generalized. Budgets are a great way to hide stuff. Detailed budgets keep people honest.
I hear you. It's a balancing act.
Yep.
Because what we've just come out of is a budget that became so detailed as to be impossible to read, with the exception of Jennifer Hopkins. And Ann Chiarello. They were the only 2 people who could really read it.
I think we had a few more, but
I'm not really exaggerating very much though, am I?
maybe not.
You know,
It's a backhanded compliment, but perhaps.
from a manager's standpoint, right, I would want to. Our monthly statements, I would go to each pump station. Flip.
And just make sure nothing was out of whack.
Okay, we're good here, or we're not good here. What happened? Well, the electrician stuck something in, right? I mean,
I'm pretty sure I mean, I'll go back to Chip and have this
Yeah.
conversation, but I actually don't think we're going to lose that detail.
good.
Because what he's creating is something that where he can create a report that's called suppressed to headers.
Yeah.
That shows us a very quick, big overview.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's going to be any problem with individually coding different pump stations, for instance, right?
Right.
The system will still manage that data.
Right.
It's there. It just may not be there in how we present the budget.
Yeah.
but we can hit a report still, I think, and I'll double check with them. I gotta
Yeah,
know.
well, you would have to create numbers for each of those.
But that's what I mean. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Well, that'd be no different than we can do what we're doing now. If I wanted to have do a detailed transaction of any specific within memory now, I would assume we're still gonna have that.
Yes, that's right.
With potentially more detail.
Right.
Okay. I've got that question, Paul.
I mean, it is interesting if you think about the bills. Stacy eyeballs them to see what's happening, so she can catch a person who is a single person with the 90,000, gallon
Mm-hmm.
water bill.
Yeah, yeah.
So, there is an advantage to looking at the detail, but, you don't want to go through 400 pages.
Right, I mean, how, like right now, how, if you said, wanted to know year to date, how much it has cost to run the arsenic plant, how many steps would you have to go through to get every penny that was spent at the arsenic plant?
I do a detail on every line item.
But is it right, so it's coded that that this package of bolts was used at that plant?
Yes.
So are we losing that? in
No.
this? Okay,
No,
okay,
that's why.
That's what I'm saying.
okay,
So, and that's important to me, like doing a grant.
right.
I'll put it all to one specific, code. And then I can do a detail of it and I can make a copy of every one of those right down to the nuts and bolts and everything.
So we'll pick on power again. So how is power coded for the arsenic plant? That will come up in that detail report you run?
It'd come under the utilities.
Right now.
Is it-
I mean.
Is
it
there a
would
meter
come up
right
in
at that?
Mon Electric Co-op as under that line item for utilities,
Right.
yes.
Is there meters at each station?
Mhm.
So that would be an easy breakdown right there. You know what kilowatt hours you're using.
Well,
There's
it's,
a line
there's-
about
so there's
the
a couple
dash
steps.
bills.
that's the one
Just
bill
look at the
that
budget
actually,
detail, how
when
many
this
they have coded, yeah.
all
And I'm
fell
sure you
apart
could go
upstairs,
online,
that I never
honestly, and
coded.
look at it by address.
Stacy did it because they come in and they write right on the DEC bills, the exact
Or the
site.
nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
E91 address and everything for site specific. So,
I'll double check,
like,
Paul. I don't think we're gonna lose that detail.
I'm
Okay.
sure we could break that out pretty easily.
Are we moving on?
Yeah.
To the next review.
Unless you've got other questions. Jennifer's right. It's really hard to read this for detail until we get the final numbers together.
Let's just seeing it up there. Yeah.
Carrie's been living in it. She can almost tell you what all the numbers are.
Mhm. I noticed.
And one thing that will happen, I believe, Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, is that like all of basically we'll have only like 4 items under salaries. There will be salaries. I think overtime will still be
These are
broken
getting
out, right?
to these are getting, to I believe, right? You don't want holiday. sick
Right,
leave.
all of that
Well, we
gets-
don't in public works, so I kind of question
I
why
don't- I
he
think it's
left
a
it here.
mistake.
It's a mistake.
I think
Yeah,
we
that's what I
should design
thought.
that, yeah.
So like all the holiday, vacation day stuff that we've been
Yeah.
accounting for together is all gonna go away. It'll all be part of the
That's
general
all
salary.
zeroed out.
And any of that's all going to salary.
Oh, so it's just being.
It's just consolidating and saying, why would you say to somebody, you're gonna make this much in your salary, plus you're gonna make this much on your vacation pay?
So are you consolidating some of those? Because I'm looking at one that is right above your line item. Seems to be awfully large, which is municipal retirement compared to everything else.
This is the bottom.
Right there.
There's a highlighted box there. No, 2 columns over towards.
48,000. That's the number you're looking at, Jennifer?
No, I was looking at the other one that, Carrie, you're right by it. No, one down. It's that line item above it. Yeah. Municipal retirement.
Yeah. 48,000.
That's what was spent in FY 25.
So that must be all the employees and the health and
where
the
I-
insurance.
No, this should be just Beamers.
Right.
So the way that the current contribution for Beamers is all of these people are on Plan C. It should be 9.25% of their
four?
total salary in
So-
any overtime.
Okay, so that's just the 4 employees.
Yeah, which I think I did.
Well, the social security isn't right then.
Well, this is where this is also confusing because the social security, there are two different places for social
Okay.
security in here. So there's one up here that's whatever the 7.65% just of this almost 40K. And then I've also calculated it down here for
Just the
the
benefits.
plant.
Yeah.
But I
But
don't
not administration.
know because administration is being
Yeah.
counted in administration, so I
Yeah.
don't know. And I was told that what's been done is that it's only been salary. It's not been.
To
anything
date.
else.
Right, up until now, according to Stacy,
It's
the
just
only
salary, no
allocation has
benefit.
been with salaries, not with benefits.
Okay. So why is social security showing up at benefits if it's only in salaries?
This is no longer associated with the 80K. That's the admin salaries. This
Okay.
is associated with the plant and this is the 4 guys who actually work full-time in water and sewer.
Okay, but I thought you just said that that was accounted for up in the main part.
There's 2 different salary lines. There's one
Okay.
for sewer collection.
Which is why we're trying to clean
Which
it
is
up.
why I asked if we could consolidate, because it's like, what?
It's bonkers
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
can easily double check social
know.
security and it's been bonkers for years.
I know, which is why I would love to have this all be one line,
So that was my question. Why is it not?
which it sounds like Tom is maybe in favor of it being one line.
Well,
but
we did it
others
in the
aren't.
general fund.
I know.
But yet he left it here. I kind of.
And I thought that it was maybe a preference that you had, so
No,
I can talk to him tomorrow,
no,
although I'm hearing at the table.
unless
that
he
there's
has reasons
resistance.
why he left it that way.
I don't think so.
Unless he had to leave it that way to have a number so the budgets could be compared because of the disparate practices that you described earlier,
Hmm.
where social security was in here for,
But
guys at
even
the
then,
plant, but wasn't in there for the admin.
Honestly, I'm betting it's just an oversight on Chip's
Yeah.
part. It's just what we find when we start trying to double check this, and Carrie's only had a moment really, and no time with Tom to try and work through it, so.
And if you go back far enough, that was always a lump sum.
Uh-huh,
And people got annoyed because they couldn't tell what department, because it was a really lump sum for everybody across the board. Then
Yes.
they got into dividing a little too finely detailed.
So the social security in here should only be those 4 employees.
Mhm.
that's all it is.
correct.
Yeah.
Anything else is gonna be allocated as part of the
Yeah,
administrative
it's gonna be billed.
interfund
Yeah.
transfer.
Yeah.
Which we will be able to provide a worksheet for that
Yeah.
says, this includes 12.5% of salary and benefits for city manager,
Yeah, it's
12.5%.
already started in the notes.
Yeah, so that'll be clear.
But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, I don't understand why this Beamer's charge was so high, to be honest with you, in FY 25, and it's something I'd like to look into, because it should just be 9.25 times about, I mean, what I have in here right now is about like 270 or something in salary, but I don't think that's the right number, which is talked about. But that's just the 4 guys. And that includes overtime. So,
I wonder whether it was calculated on all of the transfer salaries over.
that's
Which might
what it
explain
almost
it.
seems like, because
Yeah.
it's so high.
Okay, to be continued. We'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, it's too much in the weeds.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do an overview, Carrie, of the,
Water. I mean,
The other one?
this is
Yeah, the
super- Oh,
water.
this is, Tom, I'm gonna tell you, I took your back fee out because it's part of this 128. So this
What'd you
is,
take out?
your back fee is $80,000
you're
of
talking
this
about the Vector
128.
truck?
Vector?
That's your Vector truck, that's whatever, there was like 30 other, or 50 other $1,000 worth of expenses in that capital expenditure file that you gave me. So just so you know, it's zeroed out because it's here.
Gotcha.
This is capital expenses. And I think I left you a note even on the line where I zeroed it out in case you.
Yeah.
saw it and freaked out on me. I know that truck
You
is
would like to see
a-
something.
Goes to sleep at night and dreams of sweet Vector trucks.
Yeah, I mean, across the table, they can cut it.
I need to,
They probably will
change
cut
the
it.
name of
That's
it.
all right.
Well, and we're gonna change the name of all those sinking funds are gonna be
This is
zeroed out
my
and disappear.
color. Oh, yeah, it's glitching out, yeah, yeah, it's been doing that on that color specifically. This is, yeah, it's a one principle.
Let's go on, Carrie, to look at water, because I also want to take a look at the capital, your worksheet, and just help folks understand what we've been doing with the capital expenditure stuff.
This, yeah.
So-
This is, hold on, maybe I counted at 128. Okay, that's in here twice, which is like, one of these should be water. Is water in the 120? Okay, I need to delete one. I'll do it right now.
That'll feel
I'm
good.
gonna delete, yeah, that will feel good. I'm deleting this one.
Told you the other day, you gotta stop moving so fast, I can't even think.
It's so, it's so. Actually, you will never get to leave because like it's so long.
I'm keeping up, Gary, keep going.
Okay, got one smart ass.
Okay, so your water income, it's the same calculation being done here. It's your expense minus that you're bound to get at least $7,000 in late fees. You don't have any other revenue for water because Derby doesn't buy water from you. So
No.
okay, there you go.
We bought water from them.
And
We don't anymore.
that like includes all of pool fill ups and water truck,
That's all part of the revenue.
okay, not itemized.
So similar deal here with the pay, Tom and I need to talk. And you have a similar deal here where you're splitting out between water treatment and pumping and water distribution, which maybe we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Which is why, and then to make it even more confusing, in this case, you only have one social security line. So, but I'm counting your regular pay for water treatment and pumping and your overtime pay for that and your regular pay for distribution. So it's all in there, but it's one instead of two.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make sense, but
Yeah.
it's fine for now. We might change it.
So I see 0 for arsenic treatment. What is that? Is that caught somewhere else?
Yeah, I would assume this is an old line because
Yeah.
you just.
There's
used
a
it.
lot. I found that especially with water and sewer, and maybe I get a chance to talk with Chip. There's a lot, well, even in the general fund, there's a lot,
We can cut
still a lot of old
yeah.
stuff in there that.
We ought to be able to get rid of,
Purge.
Get rid of it.
Agreed.
You know,
I would love to see it cleaned up even more.
an old ice storm we had from, I don't know, how many, 20 years ago, is still in there.
This is your water meter line.
So
these-
maybe when you and Carrie talk tomorrow morning, you could actually just call Chip and run through any of those questions too. Because it makes sense to make this as clean as we can for folks.
Do we want to zero out the water meter line right here, right now?
So, yes, and then I'll tell you all why. We can always go back and. put it
So
back.
is Beamer's in here too?
Yeah, it'll be in here. It's just
Yeah,
it will
down.
be.
You'll
Okay.
see.
Under benefits.
I'm just curious what
Figure is.
yeah.
It's 9.25% of the salary.
Maybe that one year they didn't split it across the two departments,
All on one, yeah.
all in one line.
Mhm.
Sorry, you can explain you look really eager to tell us.
No. I want to wait. We'll talk about that after.
You don't want to talk about the water meters?
Well, we can talk about it now if we want.
Well,
It's a,
or just.
it's kind of a
just
departure.
Remember that this is why I'm doing this.
yes.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
And I'm gonna say zeroing out due to
Rick.
BDBs.
Rick told me to.
Okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling. Same thing here, Tom. I did a similar thing here with my city manager office split and the clerk is not allowed to be charged here, so they're not, but that's what this line was, and now it's like wherever I left the note,
So
but
tomorrow, Carrie, you're going to talk with Chip about renaming these lines so that it's clear what it is. Can we get that
But
done?
technically it's salary and benefits, so you get somehow get personnel in there, or you'll get flack from Ann.
Or just, or,
Because the main complaint people have had, or some of the people, is being able to track the salaries across departments. So if you rename this and nobody knows it's a salary, interdepartmental salary.
We're gonna name
transfer.
it interfund transfer
It's like
for
admin
salaries or
transfer.
something.
Okay, as
but
long as
It's not
yeah.
salaries. Right now, it implies something that's not true, which is that it's salaries and benefits directly attributable to this. And what it actually is going to be is an interfund transfer. And it will have a calculation. You'll be able to see
Yeah.
exactly what goes
Okay.
into that. Because I live in fear of that Anchiarella question, so I get you.
this is where you're getting
Not
into
wrong.
your health insurance and your retirement and things like that.
So
Where's my
those
time?
numbers should be identical to what's in sewer.
No, only it's an 80-20 split.
80-20, right?
Yeah.
80 and sewer 20 here.
And you can see I've noted 20%. You can see like in most of these are actual formulas. So like you have one person on who doesn't take health insurance, which is nice for you. So he's only getting $2,600 a year. So this is only getting 20% of that cost charged to it. Social Security again, or no, we talked about that. Right?
Yep,
So they get 2,600.
No, it's up here too.
correct.
Like
Yeah.
It's a smoking deal for the city.
Yeah, it's 1 month of coverage. That's wild.
But if it's changing that,
I
thought
don't
I
know.
read something on the change in the,
Which I'm realizing that Social Security is actually in here twice, so I'm gonna delete one of these.
We get more, but not that much.
Part of the reason it seems so low is because we offer such a sweet benefits package.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this city's benefits are,
That person's spouse must have the same package on the.
yeah, they must be with the school district or, you know, something.
Even mediocre health insurance now is such that 2,600 is a drop in the bucket.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And ours is not mediocre because we're covering, what, full for the first employee and then 80% for the families. Is that right, Tom?
I think it's
That sounds
50.
about right, but
It's
I don't know.
close.
I think
Anyway,
it's 50.
we pay a lot of money. I can't believe the amount of money that goes out the door in benefits packages.
in that way for years.
And, you know, if it helps us retain employees, that's the reason you do it. But, and because it's the right thing to do, but man, it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Hold on.
you,
I'm removing this. You have two Social Security lines. I'm removing this one.
in water expense personnel.
Because I don't really understand the two.
It's not attached to salary, it shouldn't be there.
Okay.
Jersey Road, water line is in there. Oh, it's been zeroed out.
Yeah.
Okay,
because it was an expense.
I know, and I was wondering why it was still there, but then I realized I wasn't reading far enough.
Probably could get taken right out, but
It's
I just
still
Okay,
Yeah,
there.
anything else, Carrie,
zero
we need to
in.
note in this one?
You gotta keep it as a
Tonight.
comparison,
Mhm.
maybe next year.
I mean,
Yeah, I think the bottom line is apologies that we don't have it for you tonight. We'll send it to you on Friday. And you are welcome. I mean, just to be clear, Monday night, we hope to put our first run at what the grand total looks like in front of everybody, but we're still a long way from a final budget. So people will have lots of chance to comment, find mistakes, fix them before January 10th. Then we'll have a public meeting on January 10th, and we'll still have another week or two to work on it. And then we'll finally put the final version before the the council on the 26th of January. So we're really, though it feels like a lot of pressure on Carrie right now and our department heads, in fact, we're doing okay, I think. So Carrie, could we move to the capital, the 5-year capital plan that you've been working on?
Yeah.
Because I just want y'all to see, this is the biggie, right? The things that we need to put in this budget that are happening in calculations other places are the debt schedule. And Carrie has now managed to find every single loan that the city currently has, which is no small deal. She had to go digging on public records. She had to go in our own files to dig through stuff. There was no one place consolidated list of all of our debt. And she's now created that debt schedule so we can see exactly how much we're spending on loans, both interest and principal every year. Then we also, Carrie has done phenomenal work, and then Chip and I reviewed it today with her. She did this work with all of the department heads to come up with this 5-year capital plan. And we're looking at, okay, what things based on that capital plan, now what do we need to actually include in the 3 funds in the 27-28 budget? It was a 26-27 budget.
But you'll see then where I got that 128 and took out your 80. But I also saw there's a vehicle line item, which that might actually be something that's in the capital. So that might be currently in there.
Is that the one that said minus 18,000?
I think so.
I saw that, yeah.
And there's always been in recent years, a 5-year capital plan of some sort, but it's generally just been a written aspirational statement. Because I remember every year it would get sent to the planning commission for its information and comment.
Uh-huh.
At least that happened up until a year ago.
And then there was no opportunity for comment a year ago. Is that what you're saying?
We never did one.
There was no
Yeah,
plan.
there was no plan.
We did, I did one.
Yeah, but it was never
Went through
went
council.
anywhere, right?
It never saw the light.
So Carrie, can you just give people a quick explanation of how this works?
I could base what I'm gonna ask for paving money or what roads I'm gonna pave if I don't have a list or.
Yeah.
I'm going to just give this to you.
Is there a list of all the current grants that we have to talk about? Loans, how about?
Yes, I think Frank has that too. I know that he's got all that information and it's consolidated now. I don't know what the format of it is right now.
Yeah, that would be something that would be of interest to the council, I think.
Well, in fact, the council's asked for it a few times and we've shared that information a few times, but I don't know that he's keeping it up to date every month.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've actually seen it like on a single sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Other than verbal reports. I thought of it the other day because I got cornered at the post office by some.
This is
wanted
my
to know
private
the
account, but I
status of
don't.
the grandstand project.
I'm going to leave it logged in on this.
And I had to say, I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
I was wondering about that one.
I can answer that, but not tonight.
Yeah.
It's too long a conversation.
It would be nice. I think you're gonna see people ask for it for the budget.
We're happy to provide it. It's not hard. I'm making a note right now for Frank to put together a comprehensive list of the grants.
Jennifer's right. I think it's gonna come up.
I agree. And it's not hard to
Yeah,
create.
don't look at that. Don't look at that.
Yeah, don't look at that yet, because,
It's not.
What are you looking for?
Topic of this meeting.
yeah, so Carrie, can you just describe your columns and how it works?
So this is your departments, this is the project, this is the total cost of the project. This is the project broken out over the fiscal years, since we're in fiscal year 27. When Rick, Chip, and I met on this morning, we started putting in here if it would anticipate being a grant funded thing or a tax funded thing. And then, I mean, I don't know if anyone even cares about this, but then over here you have the sum over the years, just as a way to check your own work. And then if it matches, it's true. If it doesn't match, it's false. So you can see immediately here, something has gone wrong with the cruiser vest. And it's
Here.
because the spell changed, the cell reference changed.
I think you're mentioning 0. That sounds pretty cheap.
No, I'm not.
It's a cruiser vest.
A vest.
It's best for the officers in a cruiser because they're different than what they wear when they're out on the
Is
street.
it a date?
and they're only $1,000 a piece.
I think there's a grant for them.
I think
No,
that's,
there's not.
No, you can't do
There's
grants for cruiser vests. I learned this morning, but you can for regular vests.
because I think you already did that. I think you mentioned that.
not. But this is
Do they have a
example
bicycle
of-
vest too?
of fixing
You got
my
shorts?
contracting work.
At least those should be cheaper than the pants.
So you don't get shot in the ass.
It's all about the bicycle shorts. That padding really means something.
Still,
For the
still
stray
bad.
dogs as you bike down the street.
So what matters here, I mean, we don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but just up at the top, you could see, for instance, that they really want a new police chief car. We fixed it enough so it can buy for another couple of years, and our goal is to put,
Fire chief.
sorry, I said police, fire chief car, right? And so the idea here is that the total cost of it is probably gonna end up being 90 grand
No.
3 years from now. 3 years from now.
Yeah, but I resorted the file, right? So it's not a great example.
Oh, it doesn't work at the top
Because I
anymore?
took it from you, but.
Oh, well, never
like,
mind.
The voiceover is helpful. Just don't look at the screen.
Okay, then never mind that example.
Fire chief Tahoe is more than a
No.
police cruiser.
No, we're projecting that
Wrong
3
thing.
years from now, a fire chief car fully outfitted is likely to cost us between 80 and 90 grand. Right now, it costs us about 70, 75 grand.
Yeah, I don't know where that line went.
So
but-
we're making numbers up, right? We don't know what it will actually be. And so the idea is to try and wean us from spending all this money on debt, on interest payment, right? So our goal next year is to stop buying a cruiser every year on credit like we have been, and instead buy a cruiser in cash. And within 2 years or 3 years down the road, basically we'll be out of the loop of having three constant vehicle loans for just the police department. That's what we're trying to get to.
This is your cheap car.
Okay, so there's the example. So it's $90,000. We said, all right, if we can sink 30 grand into this fund, or this line on our balance sheet for the next 3 years, we've got the money in cash to buy it 3 years from now, which is basically the way Tom's been doing it for pretty much everything forever, right?
Which always baffled me too, because the curiosity was, what are we gonna be paying interest on that fire truck?
Yeah, right.
And I planned on buying the new vac truck. I bought the one we have, the same way I
We're still planning on it. Show him, Carrie.
well, it just.
Sure,
I
We're just
always-
replanning, that's all. So let's look at the stuff in Tom's area. Can we drop down there?
So, yeah, I mean, you have payments, you have this 2015. And then you have a Caterpillar grader. And then you have a lot of paving.
So basically what we did was Tom has actually plotted out, and this is what he's been doing for years, where he expects to actually go and do road paving, fixing water lines, fixing sewer lines, et cetera, upgrading those lines, right? And so he has plotted them out in the neighborhood of $250,000 a year for the next several years. And all of those projects are actually planned on this.
See, the only, I guess the only way, let me back up. Why I didn't like this format for myself is somebody to look at the way I did it. So the 250,000 is just for the paving portion of it. So any street, if I'm reconstructing the street, so if you see one that has prospect, 2.5 inches of a base, I plan on putting a brand new sewer system in on the road, changing services, although I think the water services, I think they already have been done years ago. So when I'm rebuilding a road, then you're gonna see on the sewer and water side, you're gonna see construction funds offset that same year for the road that I'm reconstructing. It's the only reason I like my format, because to me, of course, because I did it, it jumps out at me as to what I'm doing. Instead of the spreadsheet. But anyways.
All that's happening in 27?
Yep. And if you scroll down a little bit, Carrie, you can see what happens in 28,
Yeah, you have to see
right?
Okay.
costs coming in 28.
Okay, so and let's just look at the Vector truck for a minute. Where's that?
Right.
Okay, so basically, Tom, are you thinking that a Vector truck can actually be replaced? This was one of our questions today. That the price tag on that is really $500,000? Is it more like 700,000?
It's, I actually have from back there, it's 600 and change.
Okay,
I actually, and they actually came, the other company that we're looking at is gonna be coming soon too. We asked them just to give us a ballpark. It's gonna be plus or minus, but,
so basically what we've done here, you can see, is we've put in $84,000 in this next budget year from the general fund and 80,000 from each of the water and sewer funds, $250,000 toward the cost of that. And then the same rough numbers the following year, 240,000, I think it is, 260,000. So that hopefully, if we can limp along with that truck for another 2 years, we'll be ready 3 years from now to purchase it outright.
So that amount is in the water and sewer budget
Yeah.
with as far as
The
capital reserve.
128.
That's what will be the next, I don't know, have you done it already,
It's the
Carrie?
128.
Yeah, so yes, that's the 128 number that she put over there for the vac truck, for instance.
It's 128 in each department.
Which is why I think we can remove that 18,000.
well, the
Because that's-
18, when you said the 18, so the 18 was for a pickup.
That's what I was doing.
Isn't that what you've got here?
We've
Ford
been
F-150.
down a pickup. It'll be 2 years now that
Mhm.
we've been down a pickup, limping along.
But isn't that your Ford F-150 that I have here that I'm counting in that 128?
Probably.
Yeah,
If you put it into the 120,
I
that's what I wanted to.
this
Clarify, okay.
128 is your prospect.
Now that we've
Eastern.
lumped things together, I want to make sure I'm not
This, I
missing
mean,
something.
it's quite simple.
Given your recent history, I can see why you might be
Like the
sensitive.
water and sewer, and really you should go through this
Yeah,
compare
I'm
your
going
sheet,
to.
because
Okay.
but this is your 128. So it's your Ford F-150.
Yep.
It's your back truck payment, and your Prospect Eastern water service, and then it's the exact same for sewer, but it's just the sewer of the Prospect Eastern.
I have a question, Tom.
Sure.
Once that truck is purchased, what are you going to do with the old Vector?
Well,
Do we have a municipal auction
which would have
available?
been nice.
To sell it when it had value.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, I'll use our sweeper. We sold the sweeper, 4 years ago. And I budgeted it, so I had enough money to buy the sweeper. But marketed the sweeper because they only wanted to offer us $10,000 for a trade, and we sold it for 40. So my hopes were, while the truck was still worth something, we could have got maybe $50,000 more, or something to put towards a new truck.
Quite a
Maybe 3
offset.
years from now, I mean, it's a
We'll see.
2012. If it's even running then, I don't know what we'll get,
Which, I mean, just right now, Tom, this 30,000, I assume is your Prospect and Eastern. And I assume this 18 is your Ford F-150.
Okay, yep,
So I can zero these out
sure.
Is there in?
because they're in the 128.
Exactly.
And then there's gonna be a mirrored cost in sewer.
Anyway, we're close on being able to get the actual translation from the capital expenditures into the budget appropriate.
What was your question, Paul?
Is that 18 in there as well too?
I'm zeroing that.
Yeah, so what's that 128 labeled as in the budget?
Reserve.
It will be called, capital
Every
reserve.
department is gonna have a
5%.
calculation.
And,
So it's actually not, it's not a 5%
No, it's
capital
not.
reserve, it's just capital.
right, that's just the old language.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess back up, Carrie. So you took the 30 out from water and sewer.
Because it's in that 128.
Right, but what I'm getting, what I'm going at is now the reserve is monies we're not gonna touch.
It's monies.
It's set aside.
So just to be clear, there is not a separate bank account sinking fund. What there is a balance sheet that shows a fund or a line on the balance sheet that says the capital reserve for the water plant has this much in it. And we can look at any moment and see what are the components in it. We'll be able to break it down and see what's in it.
What I'm getting at is the 30 is actually to go along with materials for the paving project.
Yeah,
In addition to the 30 that you had in the capital,
No,
Okay, then it's,
That-
then it's
that-
covered.
Yeah.
So what I guess what I'm getting at is the Vector funds, I'm assuming is gonna get set aside not to be spent. The 30 was gonna get spent.
So you're gonna
That's
have.
why I didn't know if that.
There will be a detail of everything that's been set aside.
Okay,
Okay, Ann Chirillo did something about the reserve that you have to fund it if you said you were going to.
We did, because as long as we're doing at least 5% in a capital reserve, which is what this is, we're doing a minimum of 5%, then we've covered that.
But Tom's saying 30,000 is current expenses.
right. That's where I want to clarify. So the Vector and say the truck, if you're gonna take us 2 years to buy it, that money gets set aside,
It'll
not to
still
be
be,
spent.
yeah.
Starting
Literally,
now,
The 30 was a capital item, but capital for the construction of the road that's
You're
gonna
saying
take
once
place.
it's spent in FY 27.
You want to spend it this year?
Well, that's what
In
I'm saying.
FY
Yes,
27.
yes.
If you have it for this year, it'll be spent for this year, and it doesn't need
What
to
do
be
you?
that's not
specify this
appropriated.
year?
I'm just wondering if that's
this
where it
current
lists
budget year that
FY
we are in right
26.
now. Yes.
Is there?
So then it shouldn't, so hold on. I just want to be clear, Tom. I don't think it should be on your other sheet if you're planning to spend the money in this budget year.
Well, that's why I'm
Are
asking,
you?
because I had it broke out, so.
Yeah, I'm hearing
See
you.
where I'm going?
I do.
You kind of lumped it together, and I want to make sure that we're clear that that's not going to be, I'm gonna put 30 in there this year, 30 next. No, that money was to be spent.
Yeah, but are you spending it in FY 26 or in FY 27?
Right now, are you spending it in
I
this
would
current budget
assume
year?
Probably 27.
Okay, no, then we're doing it right.
By one,
So,
because
What will happen
start
is-
construction till then.
if it's considered a capital expense, Tom, if it's considered a capital expense, which it is if it's on your sheet and it meets those definition, it will go in as $30,000 that's transferred, and we are not waiting till the end of the year to do those transfers like we have every other year, right? We will make those transfers in a timely fashion. And at any, it's not even, it's all it is a transfer on a balance sheet. It's not moving the money.
Okay.
When you spend that $30,000, it will debit that same account.
Okay. No,
Okay.
I just,
But you'll still
And
have
but the other money for the Vector truck will still be sitting there. And there'll be a detail that shows you all the activity in that account.
So you alluded to something that we probably need the answer for, that Ann and her 5% comment.
Mhm.
What she's getting at, I think, is that if we budget a 5% reserve, we actually have to set that money aside off the top, even if it means that we run a deficit. It's sacrosanct. We can't touch it, except for whatever purposes it's set aside for. And so, for instance, if our revenues to expenses are such that, we would have to tap into that reserve just to get through current expenses without running a deficit. She's saying we can't do that.
She's right. But my point is that in this case, the $128,000, assuming that meets the 5%.
From her 5%.
No, I'm saying it's the same thing. It's a capital expenditure that we are putting aside to manage those expenses in the future.
Which is true, but you need to straighten out the $30,000 and when exactly Tom is going to budget that.
No, we have it straight. We just clarified it. It's in 2020. It's the year we're budgeting right now is when he expects to spend that $30,000.
Then if
But-
that's the case, it should not be in capital reserve.
Yes, it should, because it's a capital expense. So it's going to go in as a capital expense and be spent as a capital expense.
If it's supposed to be spent this year but carried over to 27, how do
It's
you,
not being spent this year.
that's what I'm saying, but you're going to carry it over to 27, how do you?
No, we're not carrying it over. It's,
You weren't gonna use it.
if I start, the budget starts July 1 of 26.
that $30,000 is there for you.
Construction on it, I'm gonna spend that.
That's right. That's how it works. I don't know, Jennifer, we can talk more about it, because what I don't fully understand is how, if we're talking about paving a road, right? And you just know you're going to pave a certain number of roads every year, it is considered a capital expenditure, because hopefully we don't have to
But
pave that road again for 3 more
this
years.
isn't that it's a capital expenditure on here, it's a capital reserve.
This
And
is-
that is whether you put it in the wrong category. It needs to be in the budget. But the question is it in the right or the wrong category?
No, it's in the, okay, I'm the wrong person to argue this, because I may not know the answer, but
I think,
I see, because I'm a little confused.
Chip
So,
told me that this is the line we're using for capital expenses. So maybe it's the title that's being
then
things off. or-
we have to make sure it doesn't go in as capital reserve, because capital reserve is different from capital expenditures. A capital expenditure is budgeted for in the capital reserve, but when it comes to the current year, it's pulled out.
Is the
Because it's
capital
flat.
reserve, is that a necessity for just the water and sewer funds?
As
Yes.
a
Okay, so that's why this
safeguard.
hasn't come up before.
Yes.
So this is a chip question, because this is what he told me is this is where you put capital expenses.
So
It's like depreciation. Capital reserve is like depreciation. It's just a paper movement, and it's what you do to cover when you have to replace a depreciated asset.
So let me throw out a concrete example. We're going to be setting money aside each year for this factor truck for the next few years.
Mhm.
For sake of argument, let's say we buy it in fiscal year 30, and the last installment of cash to go towards it is going to be raised in that fiscal.
The same
30
fiscal year.
budget. So if I'm following what Jennifer's saying, in fiscal year 30, instead of calling that round of income capital reserve income, capital reserve expense, we're going to move it into current expense in fiscal year 30. And
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so, because it doesn't matter what year you spend it. It's still a capital expenditure. So what you're doing is you're funding the capital reserve, and you may draw it down the same
It's
year
true,
with a
but you
capital
gotta go
expense.
to our current charter, which limits you in this. This is where it's all coming from, what's in our current charter or in the water and sewer ordinances.
well, the state enabling acts talked about less percentage reserves.
Yeah.
And but in any event, I just think some clarification.
Okay, we'll clarify.
How that-
We need
how
to
it works.
clarify.
To me, it's confusing because we're changing wording a bit. So for me, the vac truck, would be a sinking fund. And it was spelled out as such. That'd be separate from under capital. Capital was a yearly, like my paving, stuff I'm gonna be.
I can
using
see the
every year.
confusion.
And then in the end, if we spend all the paving money and other budgets didn't eat it up, they would reassign those funds back to it. Whereas if there was no money, they wouldn't, obviously, because there's no money there, but the reserve fund or sinking fund, I'm gathering, didn't get touched. That got put in there and stayed there.
That's not how we did it.
That's how
We
we
did it
did
the
doing
way
it.
you're describing it.
Right.
We had a capital reserve fund that we would budget dumping so much into. But I don't know I'm not gonna pretend to know what the charter says for what the city of Newport can do.
Me neither.
But when we would build a water tank or buy a new service truck, it would get charged to CRF, whatever it was.
Yep.
Capital Reserve Fund account this. That money would then be pulled aside and you would watch your capital reserve fund go up and down as to what John is saying. That does cause me a little concern. I mean, if we're gonna spend money out of the capital reserve fund next year that hasn't even been put into the fund yet.
So, okay, just to be clear about that, or at least equally foggy about that. It is absolutely true that if we put money in that capital fund, the obligation on the vac truck will be there for the next 3 years, right? We'll just keep building that obligation. But if there's a more immediate capital need, it may draw that fund down, knowing that that capital need will not be the following year. So the fund will raise and lower in that way too. It doesn't make it any less sacrosanct than the sinking fund should have made it, though it didn't, right? It was never sacrosanct. We now know that. It's just a question of whether or not there's a special bank account that we actually put the money into and committed not to take it out of.
Yeah,
So let's move on from that tonight. I think we know the question, and Jennifer, if you want to help me make my case for why the charter is problematic, feel free. on this question,
No,
because
I
I don't know what the hell the
if
charter
we
says
were
about this.
Reading the charter, we might know it is problematic because none of us have it available to read.
Right, fair
So
enough.
that's otherwise, no, it's. Sorry, Rick.
All right, so can we, I think we're done, right, Carrie? Anything else we need to talk about
Yeah,
tonight?
I mean, I guess the only thing I would call out is that this is our water loan from Sumstick that's getting paid off in FY 27 because we're converting it to a bond bank loan. So this large number is not included in your total expenses. However, a year of interest is, and then I put this in here as a year of payments to the bond bank. However, we don't have clarity at the moment on if that would be due in FY 27 or not.
That $201,790. Right, we're not quite sure when the first payment will hit from the Vermont Bond Bank, whether it'll
You
be in
might see
FY
that number
27.
disappear.
Do you know what the rate
Is
is?
it on the?
It's like
anniversaries of the
4.5%.
bond?
We think it's gonna be
So
around.
I left it at the 5.06 that we were using for the projections like 2 months ago.
Say that again, John.
I mean, if the bond is issued in February 2026, say, wouldn't the first payment be in February 2027?
I don't know.
We don't know. There are funky rules related to the bond bank, and we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
We don't have the answer
I
yet.
mean, a lot of bonds are simple annual.
Yeah, and this one may be too. We don't
Hasn't
know.
applied yet.
Here's the good news. We think we have all the pieces in our hands so that we can fill out the application to the Vermont Bond Bank tomorrow and turn it in on Friday. The deadline is Sunday, I think. Monday. So we will turn in an on-time application for the 2.827, except that brings me, can I finally now talk about the thing I'm excited to share? Yeah, you can go. Bless you, Carrie, for all your work on this.
We'll talk tomorrow.
And Tom, you and Carrie will match up in the morning, right?
Yeah. It's still recording.
Okay. All right, so we're back in business. So here's your summary. The East Side Water Project Budget Status Report. On the front page, what you have is a very, very close estimate on what the actual cost of building the water tower will be in total. $4,357,000. The way they get to that is basically the paid expenses to date, $3,959. The remaining expenditures, which is the C-card contract for $372. The balance on the A&E engineering contract of $20,000 and the construction contingency of $5,000. Total remaining disbursements, $397,436. Add those together, you get $4,357,000. Okay. So page 2 shows you two different ways to get to the same number. Basically, what we're trying to determine is how much money do we need to borrow from the Vermont Bond Bank? And this is where we're going to want some advice from you all. The water project cost has been carried forward at $4.357 million. We've put in $400,000 estimated on the total cost of completing the water meter projects, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. There's ARPA funds that will be given back to us once we complete all of this and submit for them. And there are CRRP funds similarly that will come back. And that means that we end up at a total amount that we would still need to borrow of $2.723 million. That's lower by about $100,000 than our authority to borrow, which is $2.827 million. Okay, so that's the good news in all of this. So I'm trying to look. On the meters, we have spent $108,000 since the beginning of this fiscal year on installing meters. And we've been averaging just under $500 per meter in meter costs. That does not account for any of the labor that Tom's team has put into this.
So
Corey's-
we're not gonna worry about that because it's just assumed to be base salary.
Correct. That's what we're assuming at the moment, right? And we're doing it on the cheap. I mean, I can't wait to start telling this story in the community because it's great Vermont value story. So the way we came up with the 400,000 is we said, okay, we have two numbers from that report that I sent you all about the number of meters still to be installed. One says that we still have as many as 480, I think it was, to install.
530.
And the other one was 538 or something like that, right? So I took 530, I took the high side, more conservative number. I multiplied that by 0.5, basically. I said, okay, how much is it at $500 a meter? And I come up with a total remaining cost of $265,000 to buy meters for all of the remaining meters, okay? And then we added a 10% contingency fee, comes to roughly $26,000. And we came up with an amount, you can see remaining meter expense plus contingency, $291,000, plus the 108 that we've spent to date would bring us to a $400,000 total cost since the beginning of this fiscal year to complete the meter project. So that $400,000 is, we are legally able to take all of that from the bond if we want. And there's plenty of room to do it, right? We have more than enough room to borrow, to borrow enough money to complete this project, to borrow the extra $291,000 basically. And to pay back the 108 that we've spent out of our general fund so far this year. So this is why I took the $50,000. I'm trying to claw back the $50K that we budgeted for this year for water meters and charge it to this project instead, because we have a bunch of other overages that I'm really trying to make up for across the board that we can talk about another time. And I've taken out the money that we had started with for next year's budget on the same assumption. We think that it probably is still more money than we're going to need. In other words, I think that 291,000 is a conservative number. If we have borrowed more from the bond bank than we need, Chip's immediate reaction was, you can spend that as long as you're spending it on things related to water meters, according to the original bonding authority.
So meters that need to be replaced.
Meters that need to be replaced or upgrades to the meter reading equipment or whatever. So I started out thinking that we would put $10,000 or $15,000 in the budget next year. Tom and I were talking about, you know, some of these meters are going to start going bad on us pretty soon because they're 20 years old. Some of them are almost, right? But in fact, I'm recommending that at least for next year's budget, we don't worry about that either, because I think there's going to be plenty of money in the contingency here to cover us on bad meters if we need it. So the only real question I have for you folks is, do you think that we've done that calculating appropriately to come up with that $400,000? And do you think that it's appropriate to borrow $100,000 less than we're authorized to borrow, so as not to pay interest for the next 25 years on $100,000 that we didn't need? There was one other way that I think we could do this if you wanted, or if you recommended, which is, it seems like to me, it would be reasonable if we wanted to do it, to take the full $2.827 million bond and to pay ourselves a big chunk of money for labor for the installs, right? To reimburse the general fund. For instance, a seat of my pants calculation when Tom wasn't around today was, okay, well, if we've had a team of 2 working for 3 months, putting in water meters this fall pretty steadily, and each of them have a package of, call it $90,000 or $100,000 for their salary and benefits, right? That's $200,000, 25% of $200,000 for the 3 months that they did it. That'd be $50,000 that theoretically we could be recouping for our general fund if we want to borrow the full 100,000. Chips.
Would we be ultimately paying more for that expense because that's interest bearing?
Yeah.
So what's the benefit?
Yeah.
I don't think there is one. I just wanted to
Okay, so
name it as a
I got
possibility.
another question. Then,
Yep.
if that's, so how are we getting from 108,000 of what we're seeking to reimburse ourselves for our expenses
To what?
to 291 when it's another 265 on top of that,
It's 265 plus a 10% contingency that we,
plus 108, right?
108 is done.
So you're seeking to pay yourself back.
180, so we've actually. paid
We've
out
spent
the tax
108
already.
and we will pay ourselves back from this 400,000.
We only budget.
So it is gonna be 400.
It's part of the 400,000. So the 400,000 is 108 plus 265, which is our seat of our pants estimate on cost, plus a 10% contingency for the remainder.
I think 10%, I think all you're rounding up, you know, your 540 and your $500 per meter and your 10%. I mean, I think we are getting the low hanging fruit right now. So I don't think that $463 per meter install is gonna stay that way.
Yeah.
They're gonna get pricier in there. So I don't wanna go any more, but I don't think we should go any less.
For sure, we shouldn't go any less.
There's certainly gotta be a certain amount of them that we're gonna have to hire.
Well, I mean, this was a conversation Tom and I were having, right? Because we're requiring people to hire someone themselves,
Exactly.
right? So I think we'd have a really hard time at the end of this process saying we'll pay for the odd installs for the last 10%.
Except for the fact, well, I mean, we could pitch that argument. The ones that are doing it are choosing because they want it in to pay. We still have a stack of them that have not got back to us that are just gonna sit on it. So
Yeah, at some point, we're gonna have to create either a carrot or a stick. And I'm gonna be of the mind at that point to say it's a stick.
Then we, you know, with the ordinance, then we put some teeth in it so that, again, the ones that are putting them in now choose to pay that little extra because they had to hire a plumber to do X amount in their house anyways, and then to put the meter in, it takes an extra 5-10 minutes. So it made sense to them. Now I've got a meter, I'm gonna pay the meter rate.
Yeah.
I agree with you. We had that same discussion about when we get down to 200 meters of ones that are either problems or people just won't get back to us or whatever, we need to raise the bar so that they're gonna be calling us.
Sure.
Say, I
That's
want
right.
my meter in, because this is expensive.
I mean,
that's where-
how far down the road are we going with this? I mean,
Well, it's a 30-year loan, right?
25, I hope.
25-year loan. So like we have 25 years to technically get it done before we run out of the money, but that doesn't mean we're
but
gonna.
we're paying interest on that when we go through that.
Well, we're gonna pay interest. That's one thing I've learned about bonds. There's no way to pay it down early.
And that therein is the sticky bailiwick. I mean,
That's what they make their
I
money.
would tend to cut this back because you're gonna talk, some of these things are gonna be 4 or 5 years down the road. And, you know, to be paying for 25 years on having upfront money.
That's
Because I mean,
slippery slope.
the five,
Mm.
whatever the number was per meter.
500.
Yeah, I mean, some of these ones that are gonna be difficult to put in,
Mhm.
we're only gonna pay for the meter. That 500, that 500 is
Yeah.
some fittings and everything right
Yeah,
now.
500, some are less, some are more, so 500 is kind of using the number and getting the
And you
average.
also mentioned there's 2 different meters too, right? Styles or whatever, depending on what needs to happen.
So
They must be close in price.
I got a dumb question. Say we spend most of this money and we get all the easy meters in, and there's some where we have come up with a policy of saying this is too much work and expense. Here's your flat rate fee because you're not worth meter or you're impossible meter.
That's exactly one of the questions we have to look at some point.
Yeah, but hold on, before I go to Tommy, if we don't spend all this money and we're paying interest on it regardless, can we use it for? I mean, this is, to me, it's related to metering, but I don't know how it's written in your application, but to do water loss studies,
I doubt it.
that's an oversight. We should,
Well, you'll have to go back and have an interpretation of the original language to warn the bond to vote on the bond in 2022. It's got to be within that description of that bond. And what it says in that bond, I know because I've now read it a dozen or more times, is it would pay for the right of way, the purchase of land, and the construction of the water tower, the water reservoir cover.
It sounds like, you know, maybe if we're talking 100,000, but 400,000 or whatever it is,
Well,
300.
most of that I think we want, because what I'm remembering is how dejected we all were sitting around this table back in April, because we had no idea how in the world we were ever going to get enough money to do the water meter installation. And now we've got an answer to that question. So my goal is, as soon as the weather is helpful, we get Tom's crew moving again. We know it's going to be hard in the winter, right? But by March, April, we should be able to really take off again. And my goal is that next summer, we complete all of the rest of next summer and fall, we complete the rest of the water meter installations. And maybe there's 10% out there that are stragglers, the last 100, 150 that we have to really work at. So if you want to make the case that we should borrow only, $300,000 of this money and not $400,000 and save 200 on our total amount and not pay interest on it for the next 20 years, I'm all about that. I think it's a good idea. And putting it back in next year's budget to say, okay, we'll just do the cleanup as it becomes helpful and necessary. So we're not paying for the luxury of having the money sitting there dedicated to it.
I could not justify this. I mean, I don't even know if he's saying bringing it down to 200.
Well, we got to put the meters in, Jennifer. How else are you going to pay for it?
It's true, but as they say, we're going to be lucky if we put in 150, maybe 200.
No, you misunderstood. I'm saying the last 100, 150 are going to be the challenge. What we've learned in the last 5 months is, in fact, we're pretty good at this. We wildly surpassed our goal this fall.
And I think you're finding everything, sort of drop off. So I don't know. Yeah.
We have, if we don't borrow some money here,
yeah,
we have no way to pay for
25
it.
years, can we not go and borrow, if we need it 2 years down the road for, 5-year loan?
I hear you.
But are the rates going to be quite different then? With our economic,
The problem with this is you're strapped to it, and I would wonder if the bond bank would agree if you sit there and say, oh, we're going to repay ourselves 100,000 we've already spent.
Oh, no, there's no doubt that the bond bank will allow this loan. There's not a doubt in my mind. This is clearly within what was warned, and the only money we've spent has been money in anticipation of that bond income.
So I don't necessarily agree in paying ourselves back for the budgeted amount,
The 50.
the 50. That was in the budget. We spent that. We planned on spending that. What we have spent over that 50, I agree with paying ourselves back. What we estimate to finish the project, I agree with that.
So 58 plus 291.
I don't agree with paying ourselves.
Okay, so take 50 out of the 400. You're still borrowing 350.
341 or whatever it was.
Take 50 off the line that says 108, 636, basically. Because,
Correct,
Right.
because that's what we budgeted.
right.
And how would, Gary's not here, but that wouldn't make a market reduction in our
No, but
interest
here's-
payments over the long run,
no,
$50,000.
it's to me, it's the optics of
yeah.
things, right? I mean, you budgeted that, so why are we borrowing it? So you can spend it somewhere else? So.
We can't spend it on anything else other than.
But-
No, well, no, but now.
No.
you're
So just to be
borrowing-
clear about what we're trying to cover here, we went from thinking we had to do a well redevelopment this year, which was going to cost us 65 grand, to having to do twofold well redevelopments, which is going to be more like 130 grand. So I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to find another $80,000, or not quite, $65,000 to help cover that cost, because at the end of the year, one way or another, the water fund, the sewer fund, and the general fund are going to come in on budget. We are not going to finish anything in the red this year. So that's why I was thinking the 50 go to help pay that expense that we're not anticipating this year.
Right, and that's.
Which is totally appropriate. If you spend less in one category, you can spend more in another in the same fund.
You're playing with the nutshells, right?
That's right.
And that doesn't set well with me, but I'm just, that's.
Well, the only other way to pay that money, in theory, is to
Raise.
find it in another fund
Or
somewhere,
raise.
right? Or raise the rates another 65 grand.
If you take 65,000 divided by 1,400 hookups and divided by 4 quarterly payments, it's $11.61 per pay
Yeah.
per quarter.
And that's
And
the whole
that's
point of the rates,
interest-free
to pay for things. like
fundraising.
this.
Yep, I hear you.
So that
I hear you. And we have time to make that choice still
Yeah.
and make it all out in the last quarter.
5% for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Is just that adds
I
up.
get you.
I have a concern, Tom, because we talked, about April's projects. We're gonna start kicking back, when the snow goes, of where we're going to be, where availability for your crew. Because you're gonna start on projects hot and heavy now, from say April. That may leave us at a deficit to keep the project moving forward. How are we going to?
Meaning the meters?
Yeah, how are we gonna be?
I've had two guys steadily on meter. Right now, they have backed off because we're not getting calls. We had to delay a few because, you know, they plow.
Yeah, and they were gonna do door hangers last week and got caught with snow removal.
So they have dropped off considerably, but we're still putting meters in.
No, but I mean like in the spring and stuff,
In
when
the
you start
spring,
doing your other
I'm-
project.
I'm gonna designate them two guys as.
Okay, so that's your
Still
plan.
continuing to do, that's a project. That's why I said, you know, grants have tied us up considerably in the last few years.
And they're gonna be
They're
done.
great, but boy, then you got a project like this. Let's not apply for a grant. I'll designate two guys or two crews and we'll put in meters.
Right.
Yeah, they're not gonna get pulled onto the causeway, not
The
other.
causeway is gonna be done
Gonna be
anyway.
done. The paving is all contracted out. You
Yeah.
might do some of the
Well, I'm gonna
water.
be hopefully ripping up Prospect and Eastern next year.
You do the
Sewer. I've been
connection.
trying to do that in the past 3 years, but
Yeah.
I've got other people that I will put on that and
Yeah.
we'll keep the meters going. It's important.
Okay, I'm confident with that.
How are we gonna force people to get meters? Because at some point,
We're gonna make it painful for them not to have one.
but how quickly can you do that?
Well, we can wait,
Winter.
as soon as once we have 85, 90% of the meters installed, at that point, my answer is, if you have not been in touch or have refused to do this, the non-metered rate is gonna go up dramatically for anybody left. And that will be the pain inducement that says, I wanna get my meter done.
Yeah, there's a twofold question there. Because there's that basic concept, but then you have the 15 or 20 or whatever it is, number of places where it's gonna cost thousands of dollars to put in a meter because of the unique physical characteristics of the property. So one of the things that we're going to have to think about, because it'll have to be built into the updated water ordinance, is what is the economic point of cutoff?
Correct.
Threshold. How many thousands of dollars,
That's right.
or coming up with a definition of physical impossibility.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have any problem when we get down to the last however many saying, okay, well, those 5 houses over there are a special case and those out by the bluffs are a special case and we're gonna.
You're
find
gonna
a
have to
different way do it.
decide your criteria way before that, because you're probably gonna have 50 at least that fall into
Yeah,
that.
fair enough.
category.
I'm not opposed to that at
So
all.
you got 50 that you don't need meters for, so, and by the way, Stacy's ballpark of what the meters are is this pile is this high. And she thinks it's potentially that many meters that she has to input in, because she hasn't had a chance to input it in, so she's got all the paperwork.
Okay,
Oh,
so-
the new meter.
New meters, so her ballpark of probably 100 is, that looks like 100. She picked up the stack from the.
Oh, I see.
Is that,
Yeah,
you going on the assumption of like Corey, we were talking about that,
Yeah.
where we're not really sure what
Yeah,
that final number is. Is
yeah.
it 500 or?
and possibly Corey is closer. You know, Stacy admits she's a ballpark.
We're using 500, but it may be less than that.
Yeah.
So if you use $500 per, that's $250,000, but you're right, those last maybe 100 or so could get expensive, you know, depending on.
So I'm not opposed to the idea of saying, okay, we're only gonna budget for 400 more meters on the assumption that the last 80 to 100, depending on what the number really is, are either going to be so problematic that we're never going to do them, or
They'll be kicked back another fiscal year.
they'll be kicked back another fiscal year and we'll divide them up and put the money in those fiscal year budgets.
Yeah.
So that would get us down to 400 meters that we have to still buy. That's $200,000, right? Plus a contingency of 10% is 220, plus $58,000, $58,000 which is what we've gone over our budget this year so far, right? So we'd be then at $260 or $270,000. That's the money that we would borrow. So we've just lowered the amount by another 130 that we need to borrow from the bond bank.
And if you want to, do a ballpark of, you might want to add some on at some point. We have meters that are timing out. And that's the question, who is,
Well, again, we would do that by budgeting for those in
Yeah.
future years.
Is that playing into leaving July 1 meters at 0, or
No.
we lower that number more by
No,
putting that 70 back in? Because we're not gonna put them all in by July 1 anyway.
No, that's right. I think probably the impact, maybe we put a modest number in there next year, not $50,000 or $70,000, but $20,000 or $25,000 to help us with straggler stuff or meters that have begun to go bad, so we don't fall further behind, right? So we just put a more modest
No,
number
I
in there.
guess what I'm saying is this budget year we're budgeting now,
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
would it make sense to put that 70 or more in there for meters and not borrow that much less?
It would if I didn't think that the number coming is going to scare the bejesus out of everybody in this city. I think we have such a tall hill to climb, y'all, with all of the deferred. We took away all of them. We're trying to rebuild our capital expenditures. We're trying to deal with the fact that costs have gone up across the board again. We're dealing with the fact that we've now discovered that we were vastly under budgeting over the last 4 years in at least the police department, and I believe in every other department as well, on the cost of benefits. So part of how we got into our deficit is because the budgeting was not being done correctly. By the time you get done doing all of that, it is going to be an unbelievable sticker shock. So I want us to be thoughtful about the long-term implications, but also we need to know what people can actually bear right now.
Keep in mind, we also have a 12% income tax increase coming.
property tax.
Property
Property tax, I
taxes.
mean, yeah, coming as well to compound.
That's right. So I'm totally with you all, and I agree entirely that the less we can borrow on this bond, the better for everybody. I don't want to pay interest for the next 25 years on something we didn't need to borrow in the first place.
But, and 25 years at 5%, it's 125,000
Yeah.
and 100,000.
Well, if you're paying on the unpaid balance, it's
It's dropping.
any other loan where the
Yeah.
interest piece drops annually, so it's not actually.
So each.
But still, it's, it's almost double.
Yeah, we know it's a lot of money, but folks knew that when they bonded for this in 2022 too, Jennifer. I mean, they gave permission for all of this in 2022.
Honestly, I don't think people really knew.
Well, okay, I can't guess what people
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know,
I know.
but they voted for it.
They voted for it. Ramifications of finances, most people don't understand.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I would hate to see us do something that could impede our ability to finish the meter project. Because what everyone has said to me since the moment I became mayor was, until we figure out this meter problem, we will not be able to bring any kind of a long-term strategy to our billing for water
We
rates.
gotta be stable.
So we've got to get this project done this year.
I think, I mean, well, we don't know what the next rate increases, or what the budget can look like, but I'm on board with what you were saying about taking that 70 and lowering it. Because we're hopefully picking that up in that loan, that bond, which that bond, was for meters too, so. We might be able to postpone a rate increase, probably not, but.
We're seeing drops in the
What's that?
usage. We're seeing drops in the usage already. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So it's just gonna
Well, all
continue.
meters we put in.
Yeah.
We saw
Once
that.
it's
We
that
knew
time
that.
of year where people aren't using quite as
Yeah.
much water.
And you got snowbirds already
Compared to
gone.
Last year, you're seeing the drop.
I have a question for Tom. The meters, how many do we know or suspect are going to be timing out and need to be replaced?
You don't really know, because they tell you that they got a 20-year battery life in them. But, you know, Dave Harris, I talked to Dave Harris, he says some might go out 28 years. So don't go replacing the meter because it's at 20 years. If it's still working and reading, leave it alone.
Just keep putting batteries in
And
it.
in all honesty, you know, you can replace just the head, but the difference in cost, it's really minimal. We're talking 20, 30 bucks difference. Me personally, I think I'd just replace the whole meter.
Cause you're gonna get, I mean, you'll get scrap costs for it and everything, so.
So, it's hard to.
Is that some sort of number we need to figure out to factor in to be prepared for?
That's what,
Well, we'll have to, every year I'll have to be budgeting X amount of dollars
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
replacement of meters. What that's gonna be, I'm not really sure, Carl. Some of them start to drop off, then we'll kind of know really in the age where they're gonna, I guess it all depends. The battery's not being used until you wake it up. You know, how many times has that battery been woke up at this place compared to that place?
Right. Okay.
So.
Do the batteries ever go bad on?
We've had a few, and they'll warranty them. They'll give us another one. Not many, you know,
Yeah.
but they say they last 20 years, and you know, we're creeping up on 20 years now on quite a few of them.
So I think the consensus to try to get this down is, if we reduce, looking at that second page, that unreimbursed meter expense of the 108, assuming that includes the 50 we already budgeted, take the 50 off that. And then on the remaining meter expense plus contingency, if we took some amount off that, and 100 was proposed, that would probably leave us enough money to do whatever we're going to do for the coming year.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, if we're just budgeting meters each year.
Yeah, so that would bring our total request down to $2,601,851, or some very close facsimile of that.
Which is just about 200 less than the authorization,
225,000 less.
225, so.
Heck of a skim.
I feel really good about that, actually.
I think,
That
yeah,
feels totally.
I think that the taxpayer should, that, you know, you didn't hit the cap and you're doing a little more.
Well, I think the other thing about this project is the fact that there was only one change order for $7,600. That's remarkable for a project of this magnitude that was delayed for a few years after the bond.
Yeah, I wish we'd have had similar luck with the causeway, huh, Tom?
And then on top of that, coming in under budget, notwithstanding increasing costs over the 3 years it took to get this thing rolling. I mean, that's pretty remarkable in and of itself.
So if we do that, then I would recommend that for next year's budget, we budget 25K for continued work on water meters, whatever that ends up meaning. Replacing any that go bad, dealing with recalcitrant finals that we've got to figure out how to finish up, et cetera. Okay, and then we can see where we stand a year from now in terms of what we have to budget the following year. Everybody okay with that? I feel really good about that.
so the number's 2.6 plus or minus
Mhm.
at 5%, 25 annual payments, 25 years. It's $4.6 million. That's $2 million of interest on top of the $2.6 million of bond. Is that correct? Are we facing a 4.6 million principal and premium?
No, your payment should go down. I mean, at some point,
It is going down.
okay,
Yeah, well, the ratio, it depends on whether they figure the bond with level payments similar to your home mortgage.
Yeah.
Where each annual payment pays more in principal than the year before and less in interest because the principal balance is dropping.
I know. that
Or
rate
whether they
changes.
figure it where you pay the same amount in principal each year and the interest declines, in which case the payment would go down every year. Some bonds are done one way and
Have
some
you
the
gotten a
other way.
proposal from them?
No, because we haven't turned in an
The
application yet.
number yet? Yeah.
We have to, that's why I'm trying to get to the number. I didn't even know how much we were trying to borrow.
I think if it's going through the muni bond bank, I think that they do fixed
The level
payments.
payments.
Yeah.
That's my
level payments,
understanding.
Yeah.
So similar to a home mortgage that where
Right.
each subsequent payment
So,
is more principal.
If we're borrowing 2.6, just to give you a rough idea, 10% of that would be 260,000. half of that is $130,000 in interest.
So
In the first year.
would be 130 in interest.
So yeah, over a period of 20 years, 25 years, Patrick, I think we could probably be coming close to $2 million in payments.
in interest.
Yep. But
That's the price.
I don't know what choices we've got at this point. Right, we've got to pay that.
To figure those out.
Okay, I think I got what I need, y'all.
Okay, so
Thank you.
And one of the things is, when we get that bond, we are locked in for 25 years.
Yeah, that's the thing I didn't understand until I started talking with these guys.
Years ago, they had a 503 program through the SBA, and one person wanted to get out of it about 10 years in, and they freaked about the payment just to get out. It
Yes, because the way they
exceeded
finance
the
those,
principal and the interest.
right,
due.
is that the government sells bonds.
Yeah.
And so they're counting on that income. They can't take your
That's
money.
already in their numbers.
However, here's a question we might want to ask. Like, I haven't tried to do this, but should we go have a conversation with some commercial banks? Because we're only getting a 0.5 point percentage better on interest right now.
And can we duck out if we don't need it all?
Then we could, right? Theoretically, because Pasumsic's charging us 5.06 right now on the loan we just took. And the bond bank was telling us we'd be lucky to get it between 4 and 4.5% for them. So the most we're going to get is a percentage point better.
did they take into account the fact that the Federal Reserve dropped their interest rate another quarter point?
Probably not.
That only happened today.
That was-
John.
recent, yeah.
1% is $500,000
Right,
over the course of the life.
right. So, okay, so there's 500. So maybe I don't want to spin my wheels too much because I got to get this application into the bond bank on Friday. But, I have no idea if a bank would even touch something like this.
Yeah.
A commercial lender. I don't know. Pasumsic might salivate over it.
Well, they probably only want to do so much in the municipal sector because of looking at their interest rate spreads and whatnot.
And I think it's part of this, it would go to the bond bank. There's not a problem, but some of the extraneous, some of the extra, 100, 200,000, that would be nice to get into a regular bank. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just not understanding.
Part of it being funded, like the water tower, funding that for long-term. It makes sense to go for a bond, but some of this other stuff, which is where I'm arguing that, just the meters really are something, if we could, that should be pulled out to, the short.
So you're saying, don't take the other $278,000 and add it to this one. Go try and borrow $278,000 from
I think
Pasumsic.
that Pasumsic would say no, they've got to be at the cap.
CMB might be open to it, I suppose. But you think what?
I said, I think number 5 on the agenda is going to need its own.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I
Okay.
have some other questions.
I think we're at a point where we've got what we can get tonight, and I'll ask a few more questions and just find out about it.
Well, I was going to suggest that the rest of this agenda be pushed off. I put a couple of those things on there as reminders. I've got a couple more that Stacy gave me too.
Yeah.
We need to throw in for policy questions that all have a bearing on my other project, which is trying to rewrite the ordinances, which I've kind of tabled in the last several weeks. Getting sidetracked on other projects.
And one of the things we need is everybody, because I think the publicity is freaked out that they have a connection fee because they never had it before, which isn't the case.
No,
But
that's not on the agenda, but the FAQ thing is something we need to work on.
we need something to go in the bills, and particularly with the next one, explaining what is happening, because people think they've already seen the connection fee go up, in my mind. I mean, that's an assumption. But to hear those poor guys go through trying to explain things downstairs, it would just, you would cringe.
Well, and yeah, the reality is that for some folks, they can explain until they're blue in the face, and still it won't work.
Yeah.
But the idea of having FAQ, and Stacy mentioned that to me several weeks ago, that it would be helpful. And then Carrie brought it up the other day as well.
Yeah.
And then Pam brought it up at our last meeting?
She did, yeah.
Terry got one of the worst people who called several times. He was referred up.
So do we have, this has been tasked, do we have?
No, honestly, I've had zero bandwidth and
Yeah.
Carrie's had lots. So, if we want to write something like that, I'd love help from this group to try and parse what we really want to say and get it down as simple as we can.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to work with somebody on it. I just can't make it my lead project right now.
Is it, when is this going out, December?
No, when's our next bill is going out? Very beginning of February.
February 1.
Yeah, we have time. I mean, Pam would like to see something on the website as an FAQ right now, and the sooner we can put it up, the better, but I don't feel like there's an immediate need for it.
Are we talking like a glossy document or just like?
No.
just bullet
Like-
points?
Just an FAQ on the website.
Ideally, one side of one sheet of paper like this that can just be folded and stuff into the bills.
Insert into the bills, yeah.
Okay.
Understanding your water.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Love it.
I mean, I can take a stab at it.
Okay, let's you and I work on
Well,
it
I
together,
have-
Patrick.
Toss something off, everybody. So we're getting more and more calls now for properties wanting to do away with their water line. So, say,
And drill a well?
the churches want, no, they can't do that.
I was gonna say, they
If
should be
you're within our service
Right.
area, you have to have water. from us.
Yep.
So the church bought a property and it tore the building down.
Okay.
And they don't plan on, they say they don't plan on developing it, so they don't want to pay the sewer bill anymore. They want to get rid of the water. So the problem I'm kind of having is, and we've had a few, that they, like Doug Spate's done it, he tore down an existing building next door because he needed parking.
Yeah.
So obviously, for now, nobody's gonna rebuild on it, but there's an expense there on, I've got, there's two ways of shutting it off. Either at the curb stop, pull the box, and then you lose track of it. If somebody wants to,
Reinstall.
they turn around 3 years from now and sell the lot, now they need a water service.
Yeah.
Or you disconnect the whole thing right back at the main. In most cases, they're in the road. Brad Shattuck's got one up on East Main. He's got the building in the back. Well, the curb stop's in the paved driveway.
Right.
I always listened to the guys years ago, they drop a ball bearing down there and not be able to turn it on. Because there's no way, anybody could go up to the Newport rental, rent an excavator, put it back onto it. You go down to pick and shovel and buy a wrench.
Yep.
They sell them right down there, get right on the curb box and turn the water on and nobody's known it was. But I don't want to create more work for public works and expense, especially when you're starting to rip up pavement and everything else. So just, any thoughts on what you
Right
guys?
now, we have 4 listed as vacant.
Yeah.
Paying. Yeah. And those all complained, I think.
Yeah, they did, but I don't know what the,
So abandoning a service, that should, if they don't want service, then it should be up to them
but
to
Steve,
reimburse the city to dig down and terminate it.
but we own from the main to the curb stop.
Right.
So your termination would be at the curb stop, and here's the other side of it too, as you know, in water lines, it's galvanized. So, yeah, they never build on it.
Yeah,
And in reality, if I thought they were never gonna build on that property, I should just take it out and go back to the main. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a leak at some point in between that curb
You
stop.
are.
So there's no cheap, easy solution.
There isn't.
Does it not make sense that to get the water, you get a connection fee to detach? You need to
Well,
have that
that's why
same
they
fee.
just they don't want they're giving up their allocation. They don't want the bill.
We did have a case a couple of weeks ago where somebody went and turned on their water, not knowing that they weren't supposed to do it. And the problem is, the city is not gonna know that they have a
Right.
meter to read,
Right.
or if they aren't metered, the water's running through there.
Say I had a lot, I have the capabilities, and I have a lot next to my house, and I built a spec house, and I just,
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
dig it out, hook it up, turn it on, and nobody's wiser.
Yeah.
Not to say that's gonna happen, but I'm just throwing it out there, to get some thoughts on, especially this time of year, you know, the couple that I'm thinking about, the only way I tear up either the driveway or the road to disconnect it.
So is this something where, you know, we write in the ordinance that if you're really trying to disconnect from the system, you have to hire the city to do it, and you gotta pay them the rates that we need to update based
That's
on
a good
our.
point. That's,
Yeah,
you know, I
that's
mean,
exactly-
otherwise,
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
So do we need to write that down? Do we need to just make a mental note?
I think John's making.
John's got a note like,
Is there-
like a steel
It looks
trap
like
down there.
it's written right now.
No, it's a little rusty.
more out there right now, and matter of fact, the church came in and I told her, I says, at this point, you know, we're getting a lot of these coming in, and I honestly, there's an expense there, and I quite
sure,
honestly, I'm not the one to make that call.
And you can leave it up to them. They can decide whether they want to pay $3,000 to have you come over, dig it up and turn it out, or
Right.
just pay the
Yeah.
$40 a month until they sell a property. Like,
Right,
Well, they have to pay water and sewer if they've got water,
Right.
and if there's connection to the sewer. And I don't know how you leave an open sewer connection.
Typically, if they tear the building down, we have them cement the pipe, so we don't have a French drain of water getting into our sewer system.
but yeah,
That one's not so much of an issue as the water.
no, that's exactly what needs to happen is that if you either have to keep paying the bill or you have to pay us to disconnect it.
And to me, the disconnect permanently would be at the main. Otherwise, I got a possible leak 10 years from now, we're all gonna be scratching our head.
And like you said, it's all
What's
city
leaking there?
controlled at that and monitored from there on.
what is like the inherent risk of like even getting down there to disconnect a T from the main? Is that just gonna ask for leaks from the
No,
main?
because it's a core. It's
Yeah.
threaded right into the main.
Right.
You just
No,
plug it?
is a set not on there. You just turn it right off right there and
Okay.
cut the pipe.
It's not like the meter, as soon as you
Hammer
touch it, it's
flat,
gonna
hold it
stop.
over,
Yeah.
hammer flat.
Okay.
But then, you know, then they turn around, well, we're never gonna build on there, and they turn around, but then it's an expense on that man.
Yes.
Right.
But my thought at the time was like, we own from the main to there, so is it our expense and our time to have to go out and start disconnecting all these things? So this
I think-
should be something
I
that,
think if we write in the ordinance and phrase it as if it's a liability to the integrity of the public system, have an abandoned T that just dead ends and disappears, then like we just gotta lay it out and justify it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in theory, they paid to put it in,
yes, you pay to put it in, then we take it over for the life of it.
so they paid to put it in from the main to the curb, and then they own from curb onward. So then you just reverse it, you just reverse the relationship on the way. Yeah.
As long as it's worded yet that way, then I've got teeth to say, yeah, this is what it's gonna take.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna start getting more and more.
I don't know how many we do have, but, you know, I swear there's properties out there that probably are getting water we still don't know about.
oh, yeah.
Well, and it's certainly true, you can do it yourself. My house is set up in such a way that the person that built the house, even though I think they just kept paying their water and sewer bills year round, they actually shut their water off every fall when they went to Florida and drained and winterized their house. Because when we bought it in the winter. And the realtor had one of those handy wrenches and he turned the water back on. He turned the water back on so that the home inspector could do his thing. But
From the curb?
But yeah,
Wow.
when I did the type work, I found out that the people just pay their bills year round. They just shut it off on their own
Yeah.
so that they could, and.
Sleep comfortably at night.
Right.
And the ordinance also needs to address unauthorized operation. of water
But
systems.
see, here's the sticky part about that, Paul, is he lives on a private road.
Yeah.
We don't own the water system. So our shut off is up by the main.
Yeah,
That's the one they can't touch.
yeah.
And they weren't touching that because they would have shut off the other 5,000.
They would have shut everybody off.
Yeah.
And there's numerous places like that, so.
So who owns the trunk line from the main to their house?
Well, apparently, the 6 of us on that road do.
Yeah, because you guys just had a leak down there a while, right?
Yeah, and we all coughed up a couple $100 a piece.
Okay. I'm like, it's not our main. So, yeah,
And I think
This-
Wildflower Way is the same, isn't it?
same with, yeah.
Yeah, and they
So-
all put in the,
They've been,
Pump station.
people have been allowed to put in mains and not have to turn them over to the city.
Well, Our
With the
road,
right of way?
our road is not capable of
It's-
being turned over.
Well, that's
without-
it too. Usually if you built a development,
Yeah.
well, the standards that we came out with back in 2000, I came up with some more defined standards. Basically, we would not accept a road unless it was built to city spec with infrastructure.
Mhm.
I mean, we've wound up
I
with,
remember that.
Lord Nelson Lane.
Yep.
It was junk road. They paved over the grass and we ended up owning it. I'm like, this is stupid.
So what does the state think of that when they're doing your sanitary survey? That there's private.
There's no sanitary, it's all septic, right?
We're all.
No, but your
No,
sanitary.
sanitary is the
Water survey
It's
that
the
the
water
state
system.
comes in and does.
It's basically a service line.
Like our road, the cost of bringing our road up to specs is astronomical. We're way better off to pay them $600 or $700 a piece. We each pay privately to
Wow.
take care of it than we are to pay the capital cost of upgrading the road. You know, most of us on that road wouldn't live long enough to even begin to get it back. It'd take 30 or
There's
40 years.
optimism
to
right
get it back.
well, I know the road, I know of what he speaks, yeah.
But there lies the problem from years ago where, Lord Nelson Lane, I use that as an example. They came in here and, now it's all built out and the residents, hey, we want all the services you guys are getting and we want you to pay the road. And the city took it over. And then the taxpayers paid to pave the road.
Yeah, I noticed it gets plowed by the city.
Oh, yeah. And I was scratching my head. I'm
Y'all,
like,
we gotta quit.
why did we
Can I
do
ask
that?
one last question?